How can you think like this, Ken Liu? What is your mind doing? Now, this one is probably my least favorite book in November. If not for the companion he has met, I have no idea how he gonna survive it. I woke up and everything is fine now. Hi guys, this is Dan. Welcome back to my channel. I usually film my reading wrap-up the first week of the next month, so this reading wrap-up is kind of like the last one of 2024. It is mad. I honestly can't believe how time flies. Thinking like this also reminds me of all the fantasy books that I have read in 2024. It is quite a lot. But this video is about my November wrap-up, so I guess we will talk about all the books that I've read later, maybe in the end of the year tag. November was packed with fantasy adventures, epic sequels, and some unexpected surprise. Today, I'm going to wrap up all the books that I have read in November, from the one that I love or some that didn't really hit the mark. Maybe first of all, we can look at my reading statistics of November. I managed to finish 4 fantasy books in this month. Only one of them is a sequel, meaning that the rest is like a new book of a new series. Total page count is only 2,480, which is like 300 pages less than October. I guess the reason why I read so much more in October is only because I finished an audiobook, which honestly took me so long to finish. So the page count kind of being pushed a little bit, but if we are just looking at like the average page read every day, I guess it will be roughly similar. Average rating of November is 3.75 stars, which is slightly higher than October by 0.25 stars. In terms of genre, obviously they're all going to be fantasy. If you enjoyed this wrap-up, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel Fantasy so you won't miss anything from me. Maybe you can also share your November wrap-up down in the comment below. How many books you managed to finish? Is there any new favorites or some disappointment? You can share all your thoughts down in the comment below. Now we can officially dive into all the books that I finished in November. The first one I finished is actually kind of surprised me because I didn't think I would enjoy it. It is Strange Beasts by Susan J. Morris, and it is also the last book that I would get from Gosbra GSFF, because obviously I have cancelled it. This one is like a gothic horror fantasy, which is so different from epic fantasy, something that I usually read. And this one is set in the 19th century Paris. In this story, we are going to follow Samantha, who can channel into the mind of the monsters. She agrees to investigate a series of murders with Helen Moriarty, the daughter of the rival of Sherlock Holmes, the criminal mastermind. What makes her dangerous is that all of the partners that worked with her before are all dead. The reason why Sam still agrees to go with Helen is only because these murders seems to connect to the disappearance of her grandfather, who suddenly vanished 10 years ago. So they travel to Paris, meet different people who got their own secrets. From werewolf, hidden underground society, or even hunting monsters, this book is packed with thrillers and actions. I think this one is like a very good mix of fantasy, gothic, and mystery. I enjoy the whole investigation process with Sam and Hal. They always got their own theories to explain what is going on, but they are not always right. They will go back and see if they have missed anything or anyone during this investigation. Step by step, trial and error, they will find out who is the mastermind behind. This whole investigation makes sense to me. All the details are explained and I did guess everything right. This story also got some really exciting, intense action scenes with Sam and Hal need to fight all the monsters they have met along the way. But the element I enjoyed the most is the chemistry between Sam and Hal. At first, they were quite protective. They won't share too much about their intentions of joining this investigation. But with the plot expands, Sam would slowly share her power as a channel, a power that could lead her to be accused or to be confined in an Islam place if Hal report it to the authority. But Hal will also talk about how being a Moriarty is like the secrets of the death of her previous working partners, and of course her way of trying to be friendly. I did love this slow burn romance. I enjoy how this chemistry, this bonding developed throughout the story. Overall, I had a fun time with this one, and I think this one is perfect for those of you who enjoy a horror gothic fantasy story. But do keep in mind that this one do contain some really graphic description about the death of the victims, so if you find this part is too much for you, think carefully before pick this one up. Then the second one I finished in November is the only sequel on this list, and it is The Field of Throne by Ken Liu. I always find it hard to talk about sequels, let alone this one is like the third book of the Dardanian dynasty. To avoid any spoilers, just in case you are also interested in this story, I will try to be quite general and brief here. Since the second book, we have been following the conflicts between the Dardanian court and the Liu Chu invasion. In this third book, Princess Thera is married to the Aegon clan prince who is called Tafel. Together, they will travel back to Yu, where the Aegon prince is coming from, by crossing the Wall of Storms. Along with them is a group of experts from Dara, where Princess Thera is from. What they need to do is to stop the ambition of the Liu Chu, helping the Aegon to reclaim their land, and Princess Thera has to stop them to invade Dara again. Back in Dara, which is like where the main plot is set, Empress Xia needs to think about what she needs to do after signing the peace treaty with the Liu Chu, especially with one of her sons is with them, and then the other one is so hungry for revenge. It is really hard to explain what is going on without any spoiler. There is also two new groups of characters introduced to the story, which makes the whole third book more fun and entertaining. My overall comment about this book is like this is like a pack of novellas. The very first 10% of the third book is about a new character who is called Goston, who is like a rider from the Liu Chu. But this plot is not taking place right after the ending of the second book. We are talking about what had happened in the past. So in the beginning, I was like, why we suddenly jump back in time? Then in part 2, we are finally picking up with the ending of the second book, how Princess Thera needs to escape from the threat, and then how she needs to start civilization from scratch. This part I would say can get quite intense with all the action scenes on the sea. We also know more about Princess Thera and Prince Tafel. They are coming from two complete backgrounds. How they need to compromise to each other, how they can introduce their cultures to someone who is like a stranger to it. And of course, as a couple, how they need to bond with each other. In here, we are also introduced to a new character who is like a blank paper. This makes the storyline more fun and entertaining, but I won't say too much here because it would be such a massive spoiler, and I think you should find it out yourself. Then we will be looking at how Princess Thera and Prince Tafel gonna develop civilization in the middle of nowhere, but with what they have learned in Dara. Or maybe from the observation about what is going on in this strange land. There will also be some politics and scheming about how Princess Thera can expand their influence in this place and finally achieve their goals. After this part, I would say the plot is actually getting quite loose, and I feel like the main story is nearly gone. But don't worry, there will still be chapters about Empress Xia's secrets or nightmares, how her sons are doing, or maybe what Princess Thera has learned. But then the focus of the story would change to Goston's son, Sorfo. You wouldn't expect all of a sudden an epic fantasy book would turn into a cooking competition for more than like 200 pages. Some people may think this part is quite weird because it is like quite out of place, but I did enjoy that part. It was quite fun. I wouldn't go into every details about this cooking competition. It is quite graphic about the food, the cooking skill, but basically, it is about Gosden's son, Sopho. He is working in a restaurant, but then another one challenged them to be the best of the best in this town. Luckily, Sopho meet the Blossom Gang in the market. They are like a group of very talented people who travel across the Dara to provide entertainment, basically. Then Sopho will be partnering up with this Blossom Gang and try to think about how they can win over the other restaurant, who is like, money can buy you everything, they're gonna pay to win. Once again, I did enjoy this part. This is so chaotic but fun. Sopho and the gang has to think about ways to win over the other restaurant, the technology they have learned, the little gadget they can build, or maybe the unexpected way to think about a solution. All in all, I think it's just perfect. I didn't expect I would enjoy this part because quite a lot of people find it weird. There will be description about food, of course, what sort of cooking skill they're gonna use, or maybe how they can blend in the history into food, which is like, again, how can you think like this, Ken Liu? What is your mind doing? There are also some romance cooking during this process, which is actually quite rare in this series, to be honest. Let alone how this part is going to connect to the main plot later, and then the reveal of the secret. I think it's just smart. We will also care about every single one from the Blossom Gang, even though they are just side characters. Ken Liu has provided them with such a rich backstory. I honestly can't wait to see what this Blossom Gang will do in the 4th book. I also enjoyed the discussion about linguistics in this book. Not just in one occasion, different characters coming from different places across this world will come across with the discussion about language and words. Why do we need language? What do words carry? How words can connect to memory, emotions, past, or history that you want to keep with it. I think it is just like so philosophical, and I really enjoy it as well. I remember I did enjoy the chapter with Empress Jia and Somi discuss about the examination. I think although Princess Jia got her own agenda, still that discussion, how she led Somi, thing like that, it's just like brilliant. And there are some heartwarming moments in this story. Let's say when Princess Sarah saw how her kids integrate the use of lologram. Again, I don't want to say too much here just in case you're gonna pick this one up. I know that I have been oversharing about this book, but it just shows you how much I enjoy it, and it is probably the best to me so far in this series. Overall, the 3rd book starts slow, but it will get so entertaining, but at the same time quite philosophical. Perfect. And then I started the Memory, Sorrow and Thorn series, meaning that I have finished the 1st book, The Dragonbone Chair by Ted Williams. And this is like Back to the Root, a very classic epic fantasy. Simon is a main character who is a kitchen boy in a castle working for King John. At the same time, he is the apprentice to Dr. Morgins, who is like a scholar. One day, King John sadly passed away. His son Elias ascended to the throne, but he seems to be influenced by an evil priest called Pyrrhus. Witnessing the horror of what they have done, Simon has to flee the castle and started his own journey. As someone who has been living in the castle, Simon would meet different companions and enemies along this journey. His goal is to find a safe place mentioned by his doctor. Now, this one is probably my least favorite book in November. I think the first 30% of this book started really slow. I know that we are like thrown into new world, so we need to have some world building. But I just feel like this 30%, we are just like wandering the castle with Simon from Dr. Morgins and like the dragon-maid Rachel, and then eardropping some evil plans in the castle. It is like something dangerous gonna happen. Some evil plan is hidden in the castle, but we just don't know exactly what it is. Not until the point that Simon has to leave the castle. This whole part until Simon has to flee the castle is just like too slow for my taste. Then coming to his solo journey, again, I just feel like it is quite slow and we don't exactly know what direction we are going for. I know like it is sort of like a coming-of-age story as Simon, who has been living in the castle and he is so inexperienced for this adventure. If not for the companion he has met, I have no idea how he gonna survive it. And when Simon's group reached the destination, we finally know what we should do. First 60% of the story feels to me lacking of a clear goal. Not until they reach Neglemet, the safe place that the doctor has mentioned, and we heard some legends and myths, and at last we got a purpose. Not until 80% we finally got a sense of what we should expect, and then the last 20% cleverly tie up all the foreshadowing, the characters or what the evil force is planning. Then there will be a lot of intense action scenes, but I do have a complaint here. Why Simon has to black out at the end of every fight? It is such an odd way to end it. The overall battle is not over yet and our characters has to regroup and think about the next step. And I guess that's what they're gonna do in the second book. But I have this broken binding edition and this hardcover is not short. It is like over 900 pages. The first 80%, I'm not joking, it's just like too slow. But still, I won't DNF this series yet because obviously there are definitely some mirrors about it and I need to check the sequels out to see will it get any better. Coming to the last book, it is a total surprise to me because I didn't expect I would enjoy this one. It is Sorcery and Small Magic by Maiga Doocy, the first book of the Wild Song trilogy. Compared to the Feudal Throne or the Dragonbone Chair, this one is definitely a smaller scale, a more heartwarming fantasy. This book we're gonna follow our main character, Leo, who is like a master of small magics. He was like a final year student in a magic school, but one day he makes up a grand spell, which is like something he swore not to cast anymore because of his past. This makes him mentally connected to his long-term rival, Grimm, and obviously they have to find a way to cancel out this spell. With none of them working and the situation of Leo's getting worse, they have decided to visit a sorcerer in the Unquiet Wood, which is like a forbidden land. There are a couple of things that I did enjoy. The plot itself by no means is complicated, but the author has utilized every single one of the world building of the details here, making the whole story in a sense feel more compact and nothing is going to waste. There is also some sort of coziness of the story and I enjoy these small adventures with Grimm and Leo. They absolutely hate each other since day one, but this spell makes Leo want to be close with Grimm. So it is fun to see how Leo has to get used to this new situation, let alone to persuade Grimm that this spell is affecting him badly, so they need to go to the Forbidden Land. Along the way, I did enjoy how they slowly opening up their feelings about each other. From small talk like what they want to do in the future because they are like the final year student in a magical school, to Grimm share about what he want to do in the long run because of what he has gone through when he is young. And this same goes to Leo, sharing about why he is so afraid to cast any grand spell and what is important and precious to him. By the way, Leo, this character, loves playing piano but enjoy drinking, so he's really chaotic. This book just like missing some tiny things to push it to a 5-star read. Firstly, I want some clarification about the magic system in this world. For example, they always have one to write a spell and then the other one to cast it. Maybe I missed something here, but not until later in the story I finally realized how this works. Also, there are small magics and grand spell. I just wish there would be some more clarification or explanation about where the line is. Also, I hope there would be some more beautiful writing at some moments, like when Leo casting a spell when he plays a violin. You would expect there would be some lyrical writing to describe what is going on, but it just finished so quickly. It will be usually finished in just like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 paragraphs. I just wish there could be more beautiful moments. Lastly, the ending feels to me a bit in a rush. It is like I woke up and everything is fine now. I wish we could just take our time, not like writing another whole book about the ending, but maybe just one more chapter to settle everything down. But don't worry, they're just like very minor complaints. Overall, I still had a good time with it, and I would definitely check out the sequels of this series. So here are all the books I finished in November. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel Fantasy so you won't miss anything from me. I'll see you all real soon. Goodbye.